Are you ready? I think we're ready. I'm certainly ready, but I'm certainly ready for a new song. I don't know if anyone likes these, but I love them. And this one's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a false start, but let's try it again.
In the early morning, hit the road, no rest inside. Sean the TikTok traffic cop is up, ready to fight. Answering questions, keeping you out of jams. Held up by traffic, time to take a stand. Just rolling out of bed, gotta get that caffeine fix. Sean's already on the move, no time to mix. He'll tell you about the laws and how to drive right, keeping you safe day and night. Got a question about a ticket, ask without a hitch. Sean's got the answer. No need to twitch. Like a wild rush, like a wild beast, but with Sean on your side, you're at peace.
I can't get over the fact that is AI based on a paragraph of text. And that all I said was, give me a gritty rock intro for a morning episode of Ask a Traffic Cop with Sean, the TikTok traffic cop. He'll answer your traffic and police questions to keep you safe and avoid tickets. And that's what it made. Yeah. Go to Suno.ai and play with that. You will be addicted like I am, and now I pay monthly because I want the pro version. Yeah. Free is also available, but yeah. This is my new hobby. I don't know when I'm going to release my first TikTok Traffic Cop intro album, but I'm telling you, it's too much fun. Welcome to the Wednesday show. I'm that guy who answers traffic and police questions for you every day that I'm in the office. It's what I do. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. And you know what I'm talking about right now? It already says it on the screen. I'm going to talk to you about the Vision Zero Enforcement Team. They are a group of officers that go out every single day trying to change driver behavior to make the road safer for you, me, and everybody. Yeah. They do it by focusing on the big four. Those are the driving behaviors that lead to serious injury and death. And their behaviors, yes, but they're choices. People are doing this because they choose to drive that way. They're speeding, they're driving aggressively, they're driving distracted, they're driving impaired, and they're putting your life at risk. And if you're doing it, you're putting your life at risk and everybody else's too. So they go out and try and catch them. They give them tickets. It's not fun for the person getting the ticket, but that's not the point. The point is that they hopefully change their behavior going forward and make the roads a little safer. That's the goal. Now, that's Vision Zero. And today they are focused on 52 Division and 53 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Kensington, Chinatown, Bay Street Corridor, Lawrence Park, Young Eglinton, Rosedale, Leaside. Those are neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play. And you know what? They deserve to be safe. And we let them know every day. If you want to follow us there, you can certainly go to our TikTok. Well, no, not our TikTok. This is the TikTok. Our Twitter, which is also X. And then you can also go to Instagram and Facebook, because we post it there every morning. You know, normally I do this in a different order. I talk about the fact that we're on all these platforms up here. Yeah, we're on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and of course, X. And if you want to stay in touch with us, you can go there. You can also visit trafficcop.ca, and on that page, I have links to all of our social media. You can also get, I think I have a link for a Telegram group there. If you go to telegram.trafficcop.ca, you can join us and have a chat. We've got a small group of people who chat about stuff all the time. We even kind of have a bowling league, but it's online. So if you can't hang out and watch us live, know that we also Download these episodes, upload them to the podcast platforms, and you can listen when you drive legally without burning your data on Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, Spotify. There's a whole bunch of other ones. Whichever is your favorite is one that we're likely already on. If there's something that we're not on and you want us to be on, let us know. Also, if you are someone who is a podcaster and you think I should be on your show, go to trafficcop.ca and there's a form there. It says, let's collaborate, let's work together. You can have me come on your show. I can come on to your show. Did I say that the same way twice? I meant that you could possibly, if you're a podcaster, come on to my show. Maybe we'll do something where you are a traffic safety professional and you want to help bring some information to our audience. At the end of the day, my goal every day is to create content that helps people and your people. So that's the thing. Let's get into the show. Now, we had some hellos during the song, the intro. But we continue with Akila Draconis, who says greetings and salutations. And then we have M. Ismail Jirani, who says, hello, sir. Hello to you. And, I left. Oh, okay. I did see Akila's, I saw some of your comments, Akila. I may not have had a chance to respond, but I did see them, at least most of them. Okay. What is this? Bog Show says, yeah, they're driving my car because you can't stop car theft. Okay, we can talk about car theft. There's things you need to do and can do to try and make your vehicle less attractive to thieves. We can't stop criminals. Criminals are everywhere. They do criminal things, and we don't know they're criminals until they do that criminal stuff. We're not waiting on every street corner waiting for someone who looks suspicious. So there's things you need to do to prevent theft, to make yourself less of a target for theft. Once something happens, the police get involved to try and track down your vehicle, find the culprits, hold them accountable. But it's a process. It's not like the movies. And that's the sad thing, because many of us who were brought up watching the movies think that that's reality, and it's not how police work works. We do our best. We do a lot of great work. We recover a lot of vehicles. We put a lot of bad people in jail. And then there's a lot of people that don't get caught. But their time is coming. It's just a matter of time till they get caught. But yeah, do things like adding the club, or a product like the club, the steering wheel block, brake pedal block, ODB2 port block cage, kill switches, immobilizers, alarm systems, park in well-lit areas. Some people are putting bollards up at the end of their driveways. I mean, that's pretty extreme, but some people are doing it if they can afford to. Power to them. At the end of the day, bad guy wants your car. They're going to get it, whether they take a crane to get it or any other means. And no car is particularly safe because they take crappy cars, they take expensive cars, they take what they want because they're crooks. And we're in a battle, right? We're trying to catch them all. But it's a long process. Okay. What is the colorful wheel on the floor near PC Buddy? That is a game thing. It's a write-on wipe-off board so we can do games. I bought it a long time ago. I brought it in. We've never used it that I can recall. And it's something that's in my bag of tricks for some time in the future. Maybe we'll do some stuff. Boy Mom 8424 says, good morning, Sean. Wilhelm says, when do we get to start asking questions? And that was your first question. So, can your AI give you winning lotto numbers? Paul, I wish it could. I bought lottery tickets on the recommendation of family and friends when it was like 70 million. But then I heard that someone in Toronto won, which is good, but it wasn't me. So that was bad. Josh says, good morning, Sean. Good morning. Sean, Edmonton is finally warming up. This is good. It's funny, I was looking at Edmonton online recently. I have family in Edmonton, although I haven't had a reason to come by in a long time. I saw really scary stuff. Like the West Edmonton Mall is no longer the miraculous place it was when I was a kid. Like they don't have the big surfy thing in the middle of the swimming pool anymore. It's dried up. I don't know. Things have changed since I was there last, apparently. Dad joke for later. Thank you. I will flag that. Killer X says anything. I don't know how to respond to that. Yesterday I was asked which is the best Batmobile. Akela says 1960s Batmobile was a 1963 Ford Futura concept car. I thought it was based on a Corvette. Why did I think that? In any case, very cool. Let's see here. Claire Morehouse says, actually, Claire has been on the show or commented on the show before. I did read your comment last time about your dad that used to work for TPS Forensics. We talked about it a while. Ryan Dow is back with his positive attitude. And Braden, thoughts on top 5? Top 5 what? Is that, if it's something in particular, I don't know what you're referring to. User with lots of numbers in their name says, good morning, Mr. Shapiro. Good morning to you. Hope you're having a great day. And I hope everyone watching is having a great day. If you're watching and you don't already follow us, please do. Regardless of the platform you're on, I would love to have you as part of the extended Ask a Traffic Cop family where we get to show you all that we do and help you whenever we can. It's something that we like to do. It's fun to do, but it's best when you're watching. Because if you're not watching, there's no reason to be here. Something we will talk about in a little while. Now that I have all my computer, decision as I go off topic for a second. Yesterday I sat down there. I think it's great. My neck was killing me. I like being able to look up to you in the camera here and have everything at my standing desk. So I think that's going to be when we have guests on, and this is going to be the everyday show. It just works better, at least for me at the moment, until I get a producer who does all the heavy lifting of pushing buttons and looking at screens on my behalf. I'll also do my best to keep on top of the Instagram comments and questions. Now, I will say this, Instagram, if you want the better experience, go to youtube.trafficcop.ca. It'll take you to our YouTube page, thus the YouTube URL. Anyway, that's where I will see you more efficiently. You're sort of in the back burner here. I will do my best to find you, but no guarantees as to when. And what is this? I'm not sure if you heard of the Stolens 06, but if you have, what have you say about it? I have not heard of it, but I will have to look into it. And then Daleun says, are motorized bikes allowed on sidewalks? My elbow got a good smack yesterday. Motorized bikes? You're not in the city of Toronto, and every city and municipality has their own rules. No bicycles are allowed on the sidewalk unless you're under the age of 13. And of course, you need to be 16 to be on an e-bike. So they're totally prohibited in the city of Toronto. Yeah. E-bike, listen, pedestrians need a place to be. Pedestrians need a place to stay safe. And safe from cyclists. We've had cyclists hit other cyclists and kill them. We've had cyclists kill pedestrians. Cyclists are capable of doing damage. And they're also at-risk vulnerable road users to slow it down. But yeah, they're vulnerable. And while we have to protect them from motorists often, we also have to protect pedestrians and other road users from them. So it's complicated. All right. Claire, I don't know if you know him. DM me with the name. You don't have to publicize it. I'm assuming Morehouse might be part of it, unless it was a different name. But let me know. DM me. Okay. What are your thoughts on the same-day release of hard criminals? Well, I don't think any police officer appreciates anyone being released if they've committed a serious crime. But that's not something that we have control over. That's a judicial, a government thing. Government and judiciary, they make those decisions. Okay. What do we have here? The club is a great device. Northern Pikes is endorsing it. This was big in the 90s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and then suddenly people didn't put them on their vehicles. And I think the advent of the keyless entry, key fob, really changed the way cars and theft of vehicles came into play. I think people didn't want to have an extra remote for alarm systems too, because like I've said the last couple of weeks I've been talking about it. I used to have like a Cobra alarm, I think it was called, and it chirped if you came near it and it talked to you and said, get away, go home, go place somewhere else. But there was a lot of deterrent, and I don't think anybody has that anymore. Do they even make them anymore? I mean, I grew up in a time when we used to take our entire stereo out of the car and it was the size of a lunchbox. We don't do these things anymore. Why? What changed? Other than the fact that you have to carry basically a laptop if you want to take your infotainment system. Anyway, I'm moving on. Let's see. We got Mies. Is it Mies? Mies says you. Just a reminder, please put the letter Q in front of the on front of the question as I read another question and throw my own ability to speak out the window. Yeah, put the letter Q in front so I know it's a question for me as opposed to dialogue amongst the chat. So Wilhelm says that the 89 Batmobile was based on a Corvette. he corrected it later. So I knew there was a Corvette somewhere in Bat lore, but that's cool. What is this? Braden the Toronto Rapper? I'm not familiar. All right. Yes, Claire, I knew your father, and he was a friend of mine, and I didn't realize, we worked together when he was at one point. Okay. Let's see here. Wait, no, I don't. I think I've confused things. It sounds so familiar. Have I confused things? No, it's the same person. It's the right person. Okay. Moving on. Clifford. Again, sorry for your loss. Clifford says, hey, Sean, I met you last year at the Ford Drive Safe event. You're awesome. Well, thank you, Clifford. Actually, I was talking to the Ford Driving Skills for Life people just yesterday, and I may have to follow up today, but I'm really hoping that this becomes an event again this year. It was an amazing event. For anyone who has no idea what we're talking about, Ford Driving Skills for Life is an event funded by the Ford Foundation, and they offer basically a half-day driving course taught by professional drivers in cooperation with police in the jurisdiction that they're in, and they teach all sorts of special skills. It's no cost, and you can't get better than that. Anyway, hopefully they'll be back again, and when they do, I will be promoting it here. Let's see here. Oh, interesting. So, CP24 is apparently reporting that they are raising the speed limit on most Ontario highways to 110 kilometers per hour by the end of the year, presumably 400 series. Very interesting. And I'm sure that in 10 minutes when we're meeting up with Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010, that we'll be good to go there. Speaking of which, I want to just make sure that we're good to go. Just making sure you're able to access link. Etc. I want to make sure. Do they have it? Yeah, I did. I sent it to them today. Okay, cool. We are going to be joined by Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010 in a little bit, and we're going to talk about stuff and things. And I'm sure if CP24 is reporting on something, then that is likely going to be a subject they're going to want to discuss. Let's move on. Moving on. A friend from Minnesota. Or you're just in Minnesota. Either way, howdy. Okay, I'm scrolling back, and here we go. Yanner, do you need a university degree to apply to for the police service? No, you don't require it. Some police services would prefer it, but it's not a requirement for you to apply. There was a discussion at one point to make it mandatory, and that was scrapped. You know what? A degree is a wonderful thing. Education is good, but it's not always required. And in some cases, some people are so focused on education that they aren't experiencing the real world, and people without a degree might make better police officers in some situations. I'm not bashing with or without education. I'm just saying there's different perspectives. Someone who grew up in business and negotiating skills are on point, and they know the real world. And then someone who came out of university, fantastic academics, but can't tie their shoe and there's different types of education. All of them are important. Ideally, someone who has a little bit of both would be fantastic. But no, you can apply without it. I should really make that quiet. Let me see here. I'm going to put that on mute so there's no noise. Because that was, here, I can just turn off the speaker. Stand by. And thank you to my wife who just sent me a link to the article about the fact that Global News is also reporting on this. Cool. That's going to be interesting. So here's the question, and this is, in my opinion, is based on what I've seen, that people are going so far over the speed limit already, raising it doesn't change much, other than the fact that I think people will just continue to speed. I don't think it's going to make it better. But we'll talk more with Jerry. Should we go there? Should we go there? Let's see here. Shane's dad says, is there a ticket for not paying attention to what's going on behind you? I don't think there's anything that's applicable. I mean, it's truly what's happening behind you, and you're focused on what's happening. I mean, can you be charged for someone driving into you? Not really, but if you cut them off because you weren't paying attention to what was coming up, yeah, you could be making an unsafe lane change. So while it's not a what's going on behind you ticket, there are tickets that take into consideration the fact that you caused a collision based on you being unaware of what's going on behind you. Because what's coming up behind you is about to be your future. It's the past sneaking up on you. Let's see here. Ted says, "Hi, Sean. I live in a little town. I know the guy who been caught 3 times for DUI." No kidding. There's a lot of people who have issues with alcohol and have been caught multiple times. And there are people who have been caught and are on lifetime bans. They're not allowed to drive, and they still drive. So, we do our best to enforce laws to keep people who shouldn't be behind the wheel, from being behind the wheel. And those who don't respect the law will continue to not respect the law. Not good. Marcus wants to know if you can drive ATVs on the road in Hamilton. I have looked it up on Google, and it says I'm able to. I would check with the Hamilton police. And I say that because in Toronto, you cannot at all. In some jurisdictions, in some communities, it's permitted under certain circumstances with a license, with insurance, with plates, and so on. It depends on where you are. So, again, my advice is call the jurisdiction you plan on riding in and ensure that they are okay with it, because I bet you Hamilton is probably not one of them. But I could be wrong. We got Radek, who's jumped in and says, "Good morning." Ted, what is Ted following up with other... Oh, yeah. Following up with the fact that people are breaking the law, specifically with DUIs. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. VMAX man, I assume you ride a VMAX. And what is the city doing to prevent bicycle users from using the sidewalk? Well, the deal is that police officers and crew units and community complaints units often do respond to complaints from the public that this is happening in a particular area. And they try education. When education doesn't work, they give tickets, and there's a charge for it. So is that our focus? Is that the thing we do the most of, sitting waiting for a cyclist to be on the sidewalk? No, absolutely not. We will always focus on the big 4 and major events or behaviors that lead to serious injury and death. So where people's lives are being put at risk on the largest scale is where we'll focus our efforts. Speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving. That's not to discount the fact that this is serious. It is. It's just not anywhere near as serious as the driver behavior that we're focused on. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, Wilhelm, I see your point. I'm not going to get into that because I stay away from politics, and I don't want to change the focus of what we're talking about to, protests and things like that. But I hear you. I understand what you're saying. Let's see here. Radek, do police officers work with the same... do police officers always work with the same partners, or do they change shift to shift? It depends. Some people like working together. They're a great team. They can work together if they're all in. If someone's not in, because we have times when we work alone. We have times when we are required to work with partners. Traffic guys always work alone. Although they may, like I had a partner in the motor squad, we rode together, but we'd go to get calls, we'd split up and do what we had to do. So people naturally gravitate to each other, and if they get along, that's great. If people don't get along, that's bad. Most managers or supervisors, sergeants will facilitate making things work. If you're being productive as a group and you're keeping each other safe, it's good. But there is no always. Let's see here. Can a stunt driving charge result in arrest for the first offense on a G2? So the concept of, I'm not sure who this is. It could be radio related, so give me 1 second. Hello? It's tell a city hall wanting to get my opinion, or some opinion on something. Let's see here. Okay, now the radio show, they texted me. They didn't call me, but I love. Did you see my video? I'll come back to this in a second. Did you see the video about the scam call? If you haven't, go to TikTok and all the platforms. I've got it posted there. There are people posing as police officers. They're saying that they're police officers calling to get your personal data. They're not police officers, obviously, but just as an aside, because I just got a silly call advertising or selling something, but it made me think of the scam. So ask for a name and badge number. Don't give them your information. We don't call people and ask them for their bank card. Anyway, back to, can a stunt driving charge result in an arrest for a first offense? The fact is, when we pull you over for stunt, we might arrest you at that point. We would release you for the ticket, on the ticket, but we would we can arrest you. You know, someone who's driving like that. I've never had to. I've never functionally handcuffed anyone for stunt driving, but it's something you can do as a police officer. So could it be the result of an arrest for? Yeah, it could be, because it doesn't matter what license you have, you can get arrested at that moment and then be released and with the ticket or the charges releasing you on that. We talked. So Shane's dad, we already talked about. By the way, the questions I'm answering right now came in at 10:17. It's currently 10:28. The reason I'm telling you this is because we're behind. If you answer or ask the same thing multiple times, one second here. I'm going to just say goodbye to people you see in hell, because they're just coming in here spamming. People you see in hell is the username who just comes in since yesterday and just spreading garbage in the chat. Let's see here. So, I was about to say something until I got completely distracted. I got to scroll back. Hang on a second. Lots of questions coming in. Great. Reminder that in about 7 minutes, we're going to be joined on air by Jerry Agar from News Talk 1010. And what is the point of me telling you that? Well, I want to let you know what the telephone number is to call in. If you'd like to join the conversation, if you'd like to have a chance to be on air, dial 416-872-1010. Yeah. See, I wanted to take that comment off the screen first before I did this, so let's do that. Yeah, and you can also text 71010. Did I say that already? 416-872-1010, text 71010, and you might be able to get on the show. But we'll still be talking about, because very often Jerry says, what are they talking about on TikTok? And we'll talk about what they're talking about on TikTok. Let's see here. I'll leave this on screen since it's the next thing we're going to do, and I'll keep talking to or addressing your questions until we're joined by them online. Limphy Zad says, what speed do you consider too slow in an 80-kilometer-an-hour zone? Let's see here. That was weird. The lid's stuck on here. Well, it depends. Depends on the conditions. Depends on the weather. If you're doing 40 in an 80 and you're obstructing traffic, that's a problem. And that might get you investigated at a minimum. But is it against the law to do 40 if you're the only person there doing 40? Again, you might get investigated, but it may not be unnecessarily slow. You might be able to articulate why you're doing that. Maybe you're, following a herd of turtles, angry turtles, but they can't go 40 more than 40K. You know what? There is. If you're not obstructing traffic, it's not really a big deal. If you are obstructing traffic, then the charge could be laid. And it all depends. If it's raining, snowing, icy, 40K might be the fastest that would be safe. In fact, doing the speed limit of 80 might land you a ticket for careless driving. Depends on the conditions. Okay. Bashar Ali, my friend from Punjab, Pakistan, says, morning, Sir Sean, walk safely, drive carefully. Actually, it's evening here. I imagine so. And I was just texting a friend of mine who's currently visiting Japan, and it's making me jealous because now I really, really, really want to go to Japan. More than I did before. He's just telling me cool stuff about it. Like the number of different flavors of Kit Kat they have there. I'm a big fan of Kit Kat. I grew up on Kit Kat because my grandmother, for a time, worked for Roundtree, which used to be who made Kit Kat before it was Nestle. Yeah, I got a lot of free Kit Kat growing up. And to know that they have over 200 flavors of Kit Kat, even one that is green tea flavored. I mean, who doesn't want matcha green tea flavored Kit Kat? All right. What do we got here? Somebody's asking, I don't know what Diraj Verma wants, because your statement is a complaint that they didn't get their question answered, I think. Okay. I know plates can't be obstructed. How about plate cams? So do you mean that the cameras that are mounted to license plates, technically they're obstructing? Technically, those are a violation to be mounted. But here's the thing. We're not focusing our efforts on looking for tiny little blemishes. If your license plate is not being obscured, if I can read it clearly, then I don't really have a problem with it. I've never given anyone a ticket for having a clear license plate. The fact that I discuss the laws and that you cannot have a tinted license plate doesn't mean that you're going to get a ticket for having it. It means that the law says you can't have it. Let me just tune into News Talk here. Hello there. Your voice should be able to come through if you are available. I see a text that came through. They said, hello, sir. But we are here, and let me know when you want to test audio. So just a reminder, in about 4 minutes, we will be the text message I'll read for you. It's at News Talk 1010 says, does everyone here know how tall you are? That I'm very tall. I am tall. I'm 6'5", and most people when they meet me go, you're way bigger in person than you are on screen, because oddly enough, on screen I'm that big. Who'd have thunk it? So in a moment we're going to do in a few minutes, we're going to do a test, and then we're going to be joined by Jerry Agar, or we're going to join him. I don't know who's doing the joining. We're both currently broadcasting, he on the area on News Talk 1010, and of course we're here on a whole bunch of we're omnicasting on social media. But yeah, that's the deal. We'll be joined in just a moment. So at some point, I will completely change channels and stop discussing your comments to say hello to Jerry, and of course we'll start mucking around with audio. It's the mucking around with audio. That's the technical term for it.
Coming up in 1 minute here.
10-4, thank you very much. In the meantime, the question of questions, Faith Woolridge would like to know, if my friend runs a red light in my car, caught on camera, do I get demerit points? Sadly or not sadly, nobody gets demerit points because it is a plate ticket. It is an owner responsibility charge, meaning that you get a ticket as the registered owner of the vehicle, but it is against your plate, not your license, because we don't know who's driving, and it's not even we, it's the city who issues that. From there, it's a financial impact only, no demerit points for anyone. I think that it should change, though. I think we should have demerit points, and then you'd be able to sign an affidavit saying, no, it was my friend Bob. Bob's a bad guy. Bob ran a red light. Bob should have the points taken off their license instead. That's how they do it in Australia, because I know someone who got a ticket that came with points. Fascinating. And we have 30 seconds. So limits allowed for tinting. 30% is the limit for getting certified for safety. Anything more than that would be an unsafe motor vehicle. But if we can't see in, you get a ticket for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle, or drive with view obscured. Yeah.
Jerry Agar continues.
Here we go.
So every once in a while, we like to dip into the TikTok show that Sean Shapiro does at Traffic Services, and we call him the TikTok Traffic Cop. Sean Shapiro, good morning.
Good morning, Jerry. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Okay, well, first of all, off the top, what's your reaction to this idea that some of the highways in Ontario this summer will increase from 100 to 110 speed limit?
I don't know if it makes much of a difference, because most people are doing 130, unfortunately. Now I think some people will be emboldened to go even faster because they think that it's acceptable to speed. But I don't know if it'll make much of a difference. And they've been doing this for a while in certain areas that they deemed safe. And here we go.
All right. Would you be for it or against it?
I'm neither. If people follow the speed limit when they're doing 100 or 110, I'd be happy. What I want people to stop doing is to stop the whole going over the posted limit. That's what I want to eliminate. If they do 100 and 110, to me is irrelevant, as long as they're following what the law says.
Well, and then we have a cooperative thing going on. I mean, somebody just wrote into me, Sean, speed doesn't kill. It's the difference in speed that kills. Speed
differential is a huge thing. But those people who are choosing to speed are, in fact, making the issue for everybody else who's trying to follow the law. It is a major problem, speed differential. And, that's when HOV lanes become an issue, where people are doing the speed limit 100 kilometers an hour, and the rest of the traffic's doing nothing, and then someone pulls in front of that car in the HOV lane, and we have a tragedy ensue.
Yeah. 416-872-1010, toll free 877-518-5151, and you can text us at 71010. Here's Neil from Oakville. Go ahead, Neil.
Good morning. Online, you see videos of protesters in Europe like the Just Stop Oil, and they barricade a road where they have absolutely no business being. And very often trucks will just not completely come to a stop, just keep inching forward until finally they run these people away. What are the rules about coming across a protest that they're blocking a road for no reason?
Well, you certainly can't use your vehicle as a bulldozer. That's not acceptable. This is where you can call police, and we don't want you escalating or interacting with them. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation where protesters are shutting cities down, but certainly you'd be looking at the potential charges if you were to use your vehicle as a weapon or potentially to harm somebody.
Even if I'm trying to get my sick kid to hospital and they won't move?
I would take a different route. I can't give you permission to run somebody over, unfortunately. But I understand the situation you're in. And at that point, when you say, I've got a sick kid who needs to get to the hospital and this person's stopping you, I would hope that even a protester would let you through, because I can't imagine them wanting to be part of hurting you.
I've seen lots of videos where that has not happened.
Sure, they're zealots. Neil, those people are zealots, and so you can't get through to them. But what could happen, Sean, is if in a more timely basis, police got out there and forced them off the highway, we wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues. This is a very hot topic, and it's frustrating for parties involved. It impacts everybody, and that's why I would say I would even be on the horn. If I was in a situation like that, I'd be on the horn and getting a route that would completely avoid these things, unless it was unfolding as you spoke. But we generally know about these events in advance, and if I was going to be driving to the hospital in an emergency situation, first of all, I'd use an ambulance. But if that wasn't going to happen, I'd be on the horn to find out, and dispatch might be able to reroute you.
Here is Adam from Milton. Adam, are you there? Okay, here is Andrew from Scarborough.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. So I got a question about TTC buses. If they're pulled over in the curb lane, they're at a stoplight, are you legally allowed, and they have their four ways on, this is when they have their four ways on, are you legally, if you're behind them, legally allowed to switch lanes and pull around and to make that turn at that light?
If you're talking about the fact that they're in a bus lane and they're just parked, they're not leaving, they've gone for coffee or whatever is going on, you can pass them. You need to be able to do that safely and take care in doing so. You don't know if they're doing something at the front of the bus or if there's pedestrians walking there. Not that they should be, but you just need to be extra cautious, and you need to get into that lane. You're not making a right turn from the lane outside of the turning lane. You've got to get into that lane and then make the right turn, because otherwise you're making an improper turn.
Okay. Other quick follow-up. Have you ever ticketed any TTC bus drivers?
I've ticketed bus drivers, yes. TTC and GO.
What was the reaction from the bus driver? Do they tend to think they won't get ticketed?
Well, it's a big deal for them because they actually get sent home. They're taken off the road if they're charged. Okay. So it's not a fun process, but for them anyway.
Yeah, there's a little bounce back in my voice when I talk to you, and some people are sending in that they don't.
There's something going on. We had it with More in the Morning yesterday. They were able to fix it, but we don't know what's going on right now.
All right, here is Nick from Stouffville.
Hi there. At a certain intersection, I want to turn right on going westbound, but the northbound intersection has an advanced left. They have a number 1 lane, and I'm going to turn in my number 2 lane. Am I allowed to turn right even though they have an advanced left?
You got to try that one more time for me.
So I'm heading southbound. I want to turn right to go west. The northbound traffic has an advanced left to head west. There's a number 1, number 2 lane. Am I allowed to turn right even though the northbound traffic has an advanced left?
So you can only turn right when it's safe to proceed. So, and you're turning into your curb lane, and they're turning into their leftmost lane. So there's nothing that prevents you from making that turn unless there's a sign saying so. But you have to be using caution, and that's the deal. You both have to use caution. You obviously can't meet in the middle.
That don't turn right because they're scared of people going in and turning in the number 2 lane instead of their number 1 lane.
Well, that is a concern, and they are certainly permitted to use caution and aren't forced to make the turn. So it may cause you a delay if the person in front of you doesn't proceed, but they're not obligated to proceed. Turning right on red is an option.
Yeah, well, we have these people who insist that they want to be in the furthermost lane, so they just go straight at it. And I don't think that's legal.
To go for them to go.
Okay,
To make the wide turn.
onto a 2-lane road.
Certainly.
My understanding is I turn into the first lane I get to, which is the left-hand lane. If I want to be then in the right-hand lane on the road I just turned onto, I then signal, check to make
Correct.
sure it's safe, and then go onto that lane. But people don't do that. They shoot straight across, and it causes a problem.
You know what? Again, everyone's so important that they don't take into consideration everybody else. And I had someone do that yesterday to me. Not only did they not signal when they made their right turn, they made a wide right turn instead of going into the curb lane that they're required to. Came into my lane, so I laid on the horn for a few seconds to communicate. And they were puzzled. They had no idea what was going on. But that is an improper or what's the terminology? I had it a second ago, but it's an improper turn.
Okay.
$110.
Nick from Scarborough.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sean, I wanted to know handicap permits. Is there a leniency on where they can park in the city, or are there no-go zones for parking even with a handy permit?
So no parking is permitted, no parking zones. So if it's an area that says no parking, someone with an accessible permit can park there. There are some limitations, like you can't park within, I think it's 9 meters of an intersection. It's just 3 meters. 3 meters, 9 feet of an intersection. And then you have no stopping and no standing zones. Those are not permitted. You cannot park there with an accessible permit. But basically...
Like your conventional no parking zones are okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's do one more here. Les from Aurora.
Yeah, my question is, if I'm going to pull into a left turn lane to make a left turn, and somebody is entered the lane when the dotted line is yellow, who's in the wrong if I don't see him in my blind spot?
I'm sorry. You are. You're making it going into the left turn lane where the dot is.
Turn,
and
there's a yellow dotted line, but I wait till the line is white.
Right.
And I want to turn, but
so they've already gone when the line was yellow, and now you're making the lane change, and they're suddenly there, and you weren't expecting them there because, well, the line wasn't the right color, so why would they be there? You're responsible. You need to make sure that before you change lanes, it is safe to do so. And while that person may be, responsible for misuse of the center lane, you would be responsible for the unsafe move that caused the collision. And the same thing is like if you were going to pass somebody, but someone was already passing, you're responsible to ensure the path is clear first.
Sean will continue on TikTok at Traffic Services and join us again in a couple of weeks. Good to have you. Thanks very much.
Always a pleasure. See you next time.
Coming up, Honda to build electric vehicles in a battery plant in Ontario. What's that going to cost us? It's next on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Jerry and I always have fun. There was some technical issue on his end. Not sure what it was. Just waving because I got a text from the folks at News Talk 1010. You know what? This is part of the show that I really enjoy doing. It is that really cool mix when we get to connect with the outside world. You know, they're talking to people across Southern Ontario because they're in London, and then we get to dip into that for just a second, and it's really cool. I like radio. Do you use radio? Or are you podcasters or listening to MP3s? Are they even called MP3s anymore? Are you just listening to music being streamed on your stereo? These are questions I have about life, the universe, and everything. But it's a discussion that I'd love to have. And I wish we could talk as opposed to just type, but that's not the technology we're using today. Now, if you remember back a year ago, maybe a little longer, there was a platform called Volley. And Volley's pretty cool. It allows you to send, video and voice messages as well as stuff. And we were able to integrate that and put it on screen. And then they shut down. They didn't have enough funding, but they're back again. So I'm trying to figure out what the flavor is. If it's something that we should look at again, if Discord is the way to go for us again. Telegram is certainly a group that we're using right now, but it's not 100%. I don't know. There's something missing. Just saying. I am now going to try and catch up to questions about stuff and things, because we have a whole bunch of questions that came in, and obviously I wasn't looking at the chat, and we never went there, but at least while we were on the radio. But now I want to just dip in here and have a quick look at the employment page. Have you ever thought about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service or a police service anywhere? And here's what stops a lot of people. They think that they have to be police officers when we talk about policing. Well, policing is the umbrella, and police officers are wearing the uniforms and the most notable. But you know what? We have magical people doing different jobs, all under the umbrella of policing. So you have the special constables that handle prisoner transportation, courthouse security. They do all sorts of things on the road now because the position has expanded. They also have responsibilities in police divisions, divisional special constables. Then we have parking enforcement officers like our friend Aaron Urquhart who go out and keep traffic moving. They are the unsung heroes on the road because if it were not for them ticketing those who choose to leave their cars willy-nilly anywhere, well, guess what? You wouldn't be getting home on time. Now, I know most people are going, well, I don't get home on time now. It would be worse. It would be much, much worse. We have also another group of people who are not recognized nearly enough for the work that they do. Communications operators, they take your 911 calls. They dispatch police officers. There's two halves. They do either call taker role or dispatcher role, but they're cross-trained. They do both. Amazing job. I think they currently are doing intake for that. Lateral hire is for police officers in other jurisdictions coming in to work for Toronto because we're awesome. And then the auxiliary officer is a volunteer position. Happens to be the way I started with the service. And shortly thereafter, I became a civilian court officer, which is what is now called a special constable. Now, there are other ways to serve. There are currently 10 jobs because I see the number 10 right there. Are you a lawyer? You want to be a general counsel for the Toronto Police Service? Well, guess what? There's an opening. Equity, Inclusion, and Human Rights is looking for a specialist on a one-year contract. Benefits coordinator is a position that's available right now. It was posted on, the 19th. But that means that it's going to be coming down soon. So if you have any of these jobs, they're not posted for a year. They're posted. They have a window. After that window closes, the applications are reviewed and people are, interviewed and hired. But if you want to be considered, you best be putting in an application. It's all done online. We're also looking for a senior writer, corporate communications, a help desk analyst. Yes, when my email doesn't work, I call them for help, and they answer the call. You could be helping me out on a daily basis because we oddly enough, have a lot of tech. I've had my computers fail like 3 times, and the folks there, they help me out each and every time. There's a special, did I know this already? I think I did know this. Special constable, great way to start the job here. They're hiring, and yippee. It's the 2024 Youth and Policing Initiative, the after-school fall program. This is great for young persons who want to get involved. They get paid. They get to learn stuff and things. Definitely a great opportunity. Communications operator, intermediate technical analyst, and developer in the digital team. All sorts of great opportunities. If you know someone who might be a good fit, somebody who's of good moral character, somebody who wants to help their community, doesn't have to be in a uniform, but they want to be able to do stuff and be part of something. Well, this is the something that you can be part of that you just can't beat. It's the best place in the world. All right, I might be overselling it. It's pretty good. All right. I'm scrolling through questions that I've already answered and discussed before we got on the radio. So I'm scrolling. Hang on a second. We talked about that one. Pulled over on my G1 for speeding, have stunt driving charge and no driving license charge NW. Now what? Maybe that's what it is. I'm decoding acronym-y thingies. So if you were pulled over for a G1 for speeding, you're going to get if you were G1, were you alone? Did you get charged for G1 unaccompanied? And you have a stunt driving charge and no driving? I'm not entirely sure how many events have occurred here. See, a G1 driver unaccompanied would have resulted in a 30-day suspension if it was your first time. Second time, 90-day suspension. Were you driving again and stunt driving whilst having a G1? You got a lot going on here, but you're not starting your career out really well as a new driver. It kind of suggests you may not be someone who's cut out for driving, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just you've broken a bunch of rules here, and you're just a G1. That means that you haven't picked up a manual, read it, and taken it to heart. So please clarify. I'd love to give you the correct answer. And if I'm misinterpreting anything, set me straight. Let me know what's going on. All right. We talked about that. Walla 3X says left lane campers should be charged. Camping from what? Are we talking full tent or Winnebago? If you're in the left lane and you are not speeding because you're doing the legal limit, that's actually the way you should drive. And the people who want to pass the person who's doing the speed limit, they should be charged. They should stop driving. The person who's doing the speed limit in the left lane is lawful. Now, here's the thing. To the letter of the law, what I just said is absolutely correct. But in the real world, when bozos like to speed, I acknowledge that they are creating an unsafe environment for everybody else. So if you're going to do the speed limit or below, stay to the right, get out of the way, and don't have the bozo who's speeding find themselves wanting to pass you on the right and putting even more people at risk. But I do not want to make it sound like I'm in any way trying to promote or permit speeding. I think the person who speeds should lose their license and never get it back. Is that hard enough? I'm a tough guy. I just want people to follow the rules. And apparently, for the folks who like to go faster, 10 kilometers an hour, you're getting a gift. But hopefully you just stick to the 10. It's so annoying to me that people want to go so much faster. All right, scrolling till I can find. We had a whole bunch of things just up. Here we go. Randy McNaught says, great morning, Mr. Shapiro. Best wishes to all at TPS. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate the well wishes. I will spread them around the office. Let's see here. We got Moto Brew. Hello again. Motorcycle stuck at red lights. Got stuck behind one for some time. Comment. Stuck behind a red light because it didn't trigger because of your the mass of your motorcycle wasn't enough to basically trigger the inductive loop beneath the ground. So some people put magnets underneath, like rare earth magnets, to help disrupt that field that's created and thus triggering the change. Sometimes maneuvering. I used to do a 45-degree angle. When I pull up to a light like that, I'd do a 45-degree angle on my motorcycle to try and trigger it. If it really didn't work, I would turn off my bike. If there was nothing else going on, nobody else around, I'd get off my bike, I'd go press the button, trigger the walk sensor. If there was somebody around, very often I would pull up further and wave the car that was behind me up so it would hit the sensor. But I totally get it. If it was a situation or an intersection that would allow it, I would turn right, then make a U-turn, both of which are legal, but running the red light is not. In some jurisdictions in the States, there are timeouts. Like if it's more than 3 minutes or something like that, you can treat it as a malfunctioning light. That is not the case here. Okay. I read somewhere that people that drive too slow cause more accidents than people driving too fast. I think that people driving too fast are absolutely causing more collisions than people who are driving the speed limit. If you're saying too slow and you're saying that they're doing 40 and 100, yeah, that's not safe, because the speed differential to the average car that's doing the speed limit, it's 60 kilometers an hour difference. If you're talking about people who are doing 30 over and they're complaining, whining, crying, moaning about someone who's doing the speed limit, the law, I have absolutely no faith in the statement that the person doing the legal limit is causing more collisions than the person who's speeding. It just doesn't work. The person who is speeding is absolutely taking away valuable time, reaction time, to be able to respond to changes ahead. They have more work to do to slow down to changes in the road ahead. And that could be changes in traffic flow. It could be child running out in front of them, hopefully not on the highway, but things happen, collisions happen. There's no way that person is safer in any situation. All right. My favorite saying I've heard people say is, I was just driving, minding my own business. Hopefully, they were minding their own business while focused on it. You can't do that. You got to be focused on everybody else's business, because it's, trying to drive and everybody else is in your business. But it is a good comment. Let's see here. Wilhelm says, I can't see the questions in the live chat. Oh, I think that's because I turned relay off yesterday. Thank you for letting me know. We had an issue with TikTok, and normally I would get all the questions relayed into the other platforms, but today we didn't. And it may be why it's working properly now. Maybe that was the crash. Anyway, we'll work on that. Tomorrow's show, we'll turn it back on. What happens if the phone drops in the car and calls 911 thinking it's a crash? That is a terrible situation. I would hope that you would have mounted your phone. It wouldn't drop then, and it wouldn't be an issue. I don't think a simple drop in the car. I've dropped my phone. It's never been logged as a crash or a fall even, because, for instance, Apple has a specific pattern to the fall. Like falls aren't just drop zero gravity straight down. There is a whoop and then a fall, and that particular movement. I watched a video on it once. That particular movement helps the device recognize a fall from a drop. So it shouldn't be an issue, but the truth is you should have your phone secured either in a bag or on a mount, and then it wouldn't be an issue. Let's see here. Is parking enforcement a separate entity from TPS? Not at TPS. Other police services, it is separate. Like in York Region, the city does municipal bylaw enforcement, including parking, whereas in Toronto Police manages and employs the parking enforcement officers. I think it's a great system. User Lots of Numbers says, good morning. Good morning to you. What's this? All right. Do you think there's too much money for cops? I often see two of them just chilling in parking lots. Oh, boy. So, no, it's not too much money for cops. Just chilling in parking lots is probably not just chilling, although it could be their lunch, because they're allowed to have those, oddly enough. In fact, they're kind of required to. They may be doing reports. They may be discussing a call. They may be waiting and staging to take a call, because they're discussing how they're going to approach. They could be discussing the events after a call because they're now responsible for making notes of what just happened. Just because they're not running lights and sirens doesn't mean they're not working. And again, breaks do happen. But no, police officers are not paid nearly enough. And I know people will say, what are you talking about? They make great money. If you look on our website, the base pay for a police officer that is first class, that's been on for roughly 4 years, is $109,000. And people say, that's a lot of money. We work for that money, and it's actually not that much money anymore. I know, controversial. But yeah, I think there's contracts for police services now that have police officers making $130,000. And if you look at the buying power of that money, back to 1974 when I think it was about $50,000, it's about the same. Police officers aren't overpaid. All right, moving on. VMAX Man says, yes, I ride a 2009 VMAX original owner. Very cool. VMAX is a very cool bike, very cool, fast motorcycle. I have a Valkyrie Interstate, if you know that bike, although my bike hasn't moved in 5 years since my collision. All right. My bike was not involved in the collision. I was hit when I was on a police motorcycle. But I do like motorcycles. Okay. What is this? My neighbor is a police officer who regularly has other police officers driving away after drinking. Interesting. If you think that's the case, then you should certainly make phone calls, because that's criminal. They cannot be impaired by drugs or alcohol and operating motor vehicles. So if you think that that's the case, by all means report them, because we want to take impaired drivers off the road. I don't care if they're cops or not. No one's allowed to do it. Putting people's lives at risk is gross. Let's see here. Why are there 120 Ontario cops on paid leave? I don't know. I don't know their individual cases, but I imagine there's 120 different cases. Some of them might be on charges, and under the Police Services Act, depending on the type of charge, and now there's a new act, but you couldn't just fire them. They're allegations, not necessarily proven. And there are also people who are on, I'm assuming you're talking about misconduct. I don't know. Maybe there's people who are off getting treatment for mental health issues. The truth is, there's a lot of reasons that people aren't at work, and there's rules. Police service goes based on those rules. Because they are rules, you can't just make them up as you go along. So whatever they're allowed to do, they do. Let's see here. Bikers can use the sidewalks if they're doing a jogging speed right. No, they're not. Bicycle riders cannot use sidewalks at all in the city of Toronto unless they're under the age of 14. So if you're 13 and younger, you can. If you are above 13, being 14 or older, you cannot. How do you guys train your canine units? I assume the dogs are responsible for most of it. I have no idea. I've never, other than going and seeing the dogs and seeing a graduation, I know nothing about it. But a buddy of mine is in that unit. So I said this before, I need to get one of them to come in and bring a fluffy dog and talk about dogs. But I know nothing about the process. Okay. What is this? Love the do. Moving on. 11 o'clock. Holy smokes. Okay. I'm going to try, 11 o'clock, new questions. If you're just popping in now, I'm going to just try and get through questions that have been asked up until 11 o'clock because I've got stuff and things to do outside of the show. I know, hard to believe, right? I'm a cop who has other things to do. But here's the deal. I'm going to scroll through and try and catch up with the best questions, and then we will move on and come back tomorrow. Okay, what is this? We have bike lanes on the other side of the border, but people still bike in the street. I don't know where we're talking about the other side. We're talking about the United States. So But how do I respond to this? I don't know how to respond to this. There are people who don't use the bike lanes. They're not required to use the bike lanes. Bike lanes are for your protection as a cyclist. However, if you can maintain the speed of traffic, you can be in there. But the problem is the speed. There are people who are. It's so interesting, this whole discussion about cyclist safety, because there are cyclists who follow the rules. I commend them for it. There are cyclists who don't. I ticket them for it. Someone's, I don't know what they're talking about. Let's see here. I saw that. Oh, they saw that. Okay, awesome. I'm glad. So, same person. I'm assuming you saw the video I was talking about for the scam stuff. Awesome. Okay. If I'm working on a car that's been sitting for a while, is there someone who has to inspect it? So you mean you have a vehicle that was safetied, inspected, and safed, so you've registered it, it's considered safe, you're just doing a tune-up on your driveway or changing something. If you have a valid safety and you've kept the certification up, like you've kept the plates on it, then there's no certification or inspection required. It's a good idea to have a mechanic check your work if you're tinkering. There you go. Can a G1 driver drive by themselves on city streets? No, never. That's the whole idea of a G1. You can't drive alone. It's a G1. It's a learner's permit. It's not a license. We used to have something called a 365, and it was a piece of paper. It didn't look anything like a driver's license, and that was the epitome. That was the real learner's permit, because there was no faking it. There was no flashing it in front of friends, making believe you had a license. A G1's not a license. Bugs me. It is a learner's permit. Requires a driver to supervise you. If you are driving by yourself with a G1 unaccompanied, it's a $110 ticket, a 30-day suspension. If you do it twice, it's a 90-day suspension the second time. If you do it 3 times, you get kicked out of the driver's licensing program. You have to apply again. The person who let you drive a car when you have a G1 by yourself, well, yeah, that person who lent you the car, they get a ticket for permitting someone to drive in contravention of their conditions. Also, you have no insurance. Like, the liability might cover you, but cover the other car you hit, but the car is going to get totaled, and you're not getting that car repaired under your insurance. So you're going to really, really mess your friend up or family member up. And that's if we don't charge them. Of course, if you take it without their permission, then you're looking at criminal charges for take vehicle without consent. One of my favorite discussions is this, because who the heck do you think you are if you're a G1 triplex 727? I don't mean to dump on you. I know you're just asking a question, and it's a legit question, but this is a topic that bugs me. We had a couple years ago, like 6 G1 drivers caught driving alone in 1 or 2 days. It's not okay. Woosah. Okay. Under what circumstances is it acceptable to honk your horn? My wife seems to think it's never okay for me. She thinks it's never okay for you to use your horn. Okay, I use my horn a lot. Scares the crap out of everybody in my car, because like they're all on their iPads or their phones or whatever, and I honk the horn. They're thinking, "Oh my God, we're about to hit something." Reasonable expectation. I use my horn to communicate concern, disapproval, but it's all reasonable and all in relation to safe operation of the motor vehicle. If you're honking the tune of your favorite song, not okay. Honking just for honking's sake is unnecessary noise. You could be subject to a charge of $110. Honking to communicate danger stuff, wake up, that's pretty important. All right, scrolling down. Let's see here. Oh, no, people trying to spread bad news and lead Triplex 727 astray, suggesting that it's legal. No. They're messing with you and giving you bad advice. What is this? Yes, we talked about that. Okay. Boom. I got a ticket for left turn, but my fault entered in... What is this? I got the ticket for left turn, but my fault entered the street car lane, so unfair and low visibility. There's a street... So you were in a designated use lane? Like, some of them are marked really, really well, and if it was snow and you didn't see, I mean, that sounds like you didn't see and you couldn't have seen. So maybe you take it to court. I don't know. Talk to somebody. Get some legal advice. AK-27 says, so you never answered my question. I didn't see your question, so I just acknowledged you, though. Another wonderful question. Is it illegal to do a crime? Yeah. Okay. What we got here? This guy stalls so much. I know how to drive stick. I don't stall. Why do cops feel the need to insert power over oppressed people? I think you have us confused with somebody else. We don't do that. Not that I'm aware. I've never seen people just find oppressed people to exert power over. I think you're projecting. Okay. Can you merge without using a signal if no one else is on the road? AK-27, interesting question. If truly nobody else is on the road, you're the only one. Technically, you can. And I mean pedestrian, like there's nobody, and you've got confirmation there is no life on the road. Because if your movement could affect any person using the road, whether it be pedestrian, cyclist, or motorist, it is required for you to signal. But if you were, and here's the deal, you know how you find out? When you do it and you get a ticket, it means you were wrong. It means that you were in fact not the only person there, otherwise no one would have seen it. But yeah, if you're not affecting anybody else, the movement of anyone else, then it's not illegal. Strange, right? Scrolling through the gazillion messages here. Here we go. Can you get a ticket for going as a slow driver doing 40 and a 60? Depends. 40 and a 60 might be fine. Stay to the right, let people go past. You're talking about regular city streets. If you're driving 40 everywhere you're going and there's a lineup of traffic honking and waving their arms out the window, you're obstructing traffic, right? That is a problem. And it could be an issue. If your vehicle's in limp mode because you blew the tranny or something like that, well, then you are in a situation where you shouldn't be driving that car. It's not safe. And at that point, you probably wouldn't even get up to 40. Do I think that the Art of War should be required reading for the service? I don't think we're at war, but I do think it's great reading. Let's see here. Scrolling through. What if you drive without insurance? Then you're not a very bright person. Driving without insurance, something that is actually required by the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. That's what it's called. $5,000 to $25,000 fine, up to 6 months in jail. I would say that you'd be, not to mention, by the way, any liability that is incurred as a result of causing damage. You get into a collision, not only do you get the charges with the fines, but you get sued a lot. All right. Restream doesn't seem to be forwarding the other platforms. I think you mean the chat. And yes, we talked about it a little while ago. I turned it off yesterday. I forgot to turn it back on. Maybe why it's working so well, except for the whole relay of chat. Should I take a speeding ticket to court? That is a personal question. Were you speeding? If you're guilty, I don't think you should waste your time in court. It's a learning lesson. Move on. If you have financial difficulties, and many people do, then you can take it to court or have a first appearance with the prosecutor and ask them to, consider a payment plan, a reduction in points, not points, but speed that you'd negotiate down to something less, because while you want to take responsibility, you want to have, less impact on your license and finances. Or maybe you want to say, I just need a payment plan, which I think I already said. And if you really think you're not guilty, well, then fight it. But you have to actually prove that you're not guilty, right? This whole rolling the dice, hoping the cop doesn't show up, is just a waste of taxpayer money. And I appreciate there's a benefit to you, but it impacts everybody else. Can you tow small car on long landscape trailer? I don't think that most landscaping trailers are qualified and capable of carrying the weight of a car. So I would say don't do it unless you can get it confirmed. And I'm not the right person to confirm that. Most trailers have a weight rating. All of them are going to have a weight rating. You need to make sure they also have to be capable of securing that vehicle. You're putting a lot of weight on that trailer, and you can end up causing a collision by throwing the vehicle that you're using to tow out of whack. Saw a crazy video where not a motorhome, a double wide, like a trailer was being pulled by a pickup truck, and it just went all over the place. Towing is an art form, I think. It's not just hook it up and go. Okay. Oh, really? Alan Patterson says the green tea Kit Kat is not as great as it sounds. I still want to try it. This is talking about Japan and the fact that they have like 200 flavors of Kit Kat. Have you been to the Kit Kat store in the local? There's one I think at Yorkdale, and you can actually make your own Kit Kat. I think I don't know if they're still, if maybe it was just for the Christmas season. Not sure. Either way, I didn't go in. I didn't buy it. There was a lineup, but it looked good. Is there a device that measures headlight strength? Also, is there a limit for headlight strength, i.e. lumens? I switched to LED and now everyone thinks I drive with my high beams on and flashes me. There is a maximum, and that I keep forgetting to look up after the shows because I get into other things, but there is a maximum. The bigger issue is usually direction. When you change your bulbs, they may have a beam that is not aimed correctly anymore. You need to fine-tune your vehicle, and you do that by being on a flat surface, pulling up to a wall at a predetermined distance, and seeing where they land. I've seen people with cockeyed headlights before, but I don't know of a device. It's just observations. We don't have any fancy devices for that. What do we have here? Do you need rights to counsel and caution when detained on a traffic stop for a search of the vehicle? So if I'm pulling you over based on your driver behavior or specifically dealing with checking your license, ownership, insurance, your status in sobriety, your insurance status, the basics, that's not being detained where I need to caution you. Rights to counsel and caution are dealing with other things. We're dealing with criminality, where I'm keeping you for investigative purposes. And you said search of a vehicle. If I'm searching your vehicle, we're going to have a different conversation. It is not something that it's not part of just a standard vehicle stop. Are electric skateboards okay? On private property, sure. On the road, they're not legal. In fact, skateboards aren't even legal for the road. That's a mind-blowing statement, isn't it? People did not realize that. Skateboards are not permitted on the road. They're toys. Okay, but the electric skateboards are motor vehicles. Yeah. Rusty's been working night shifts. Nelson Williams wants to know if the 401 speed thing is real. The increase? They're saying that beginning on July 12th, Ontario will permanently boost the speed limit to 110 kilometers on 10 sections of provincial highway in both the north and south of the province. More than 250 kilometers of Highway 401, including around Kingston and Belleville. So it's not everywhere. When was this article written? No, it's written April 24th, or at least published. So it is. And here's the details. So at Tilbury, extending the existing 110 kilometer an hour zone further by 7 kilometers from Highway 35/15 to Cobourg, approximately 35 kilometers, from Colborne to Belleville, approximately 44 kilometers, from Belleville to Kingston, approximately 66 kilometers, from Highway 16 to the Quebec boundary, approximately 107 kilometers, Highway 403 from Woodstock to Brantford, 26 kilometers, Brantford to Hamilton, 14.5 kilometers, 406 to from Thorold to Welland, 13 kilometers, Highway 416 to 401 to Ottawa, 70 kilometers, Highway 69 from Sudbury to French River, approximately 60 kilometers. So no one's getting faster in Toronto. So, yeah, I still say wait for the signs. I don't understand what the Jerry thing was. That's really weird. Not understanding at all what that was. We occasionally have weird things happen with Jerry, and we don't know why. What do we got here? If Bob's a bad driver, Bob should not be driving. Does Ontario classify longboards differently than skateboards? Are they all one and the same? I believe they're all one and the same. I've not heard of anything different, but I could be wrong. I'm not the skateboard cop. I don't know. Yes, I actually thought about buying an electric skateboard rather than buying a kick scooter. I did buy when I was recovering earlier on a couple of years ago, recovering from my collision. I got an electric kick scooter. I thought they were the greatest thing since sliced bread. And it is not, and they're really easy to ride. And I think they're generally safe, but there are situations where they're not safe. Anyway, the deal is I looked at a skateboard and I can't imagine how people use skateboards because as a kid I was able to use them, but now I put one foot on, I think I'm going to die. Okay. Who should I complain to when I see on-duty officers hanging out wasting taxpayer dollars? Call the police. Not using the emergency line because you're going to end up getting arrested for misuse or charged anyway. But you can call a division. You can call the OIPRD. You can make complaints. Obviously, if they're hanging out not doing police work, it's a problem. But what if they are doing police work? What if you have no idea what they're doing, but they're actually working, which is probably the case? Maybe if they're on lunch, which they're allowed to do. I think you have better things to do. But that's just a guess. Do you guys use drones on car chases? We have drones, but I don't believe we use them for car chases. In fact, I pretty much guarantee we don't use them for car chases. We have a very fixed use, for investigative purposes, collision reconstruction, things like that. What type of insurance should? I'm not an insurance person, but they want to know what kind of insurance. I think you need to have commercial insurance now, or at least it's available. I don't see any TikToks answered. But I'm almost all the questions are coming from TikTok. Let's see here. Oh, these are already. See, I said I wasn't going to address anything after 11 o'clock, and now I'm because it scrolled. It made me incorrect. Going for a couple more minutes. Let's see here. What's the best thing to do if you're stopped at a red light and it's not changing green? We talked about this a little while ago. Essentially, you make a right turn and a U-turn if that's legal, but going through it is not an option. You can reposition, move up a bit. If we're talking a motorcycle versus car, move up a bit, move back a bit. Worst case scenario, get out of your car and push the button. But I'm not inclined to suggest that in most areas. With the chance of having carjacking and all those things, I wouldn't be wanting to jump out of my car, in an area where people might jump in it. How do you control traffic for I got into a motor vehicle accident. Well, trust me, you want insurance? Yes. I know the benefits of insurance too after having been hit by a car when I was on a police bike. Insurance is good. So how do you control traffic for the Leafs game tonight? We have lots of officers that are likely going to be there. I'm not part of that program. I don't go out and do that, but I used to do it for the Jays games. We manually override and run traffic controls so that we can get people out safely and quickly. What is this? Scrolling. What can you do if you see a driver talking on the phone while you are driving? Not a whole lot. You can honk at them. I like to stare at them. And just at stoplights, just make them uncomfortable. Of course, the difference is they eventually look at me, and some of them put their phone down. The other ones wouldn't go, give me some kind of face, and I do and show them my badge. It's a different conversation when I do it than when you do it, but they shouldn't be on their phones, obviously, but it's not a 911 call. What do we got here? Can I drive with a G2 under someone else's insurance? If you're borrowing a car, which you can do with their permission, you can drive under their insurance. If it's a car that belongs to someone that you live with, the insurance company usually wants you to be on the policy. So then you may have problems where they deny you coverage. What's the max you can go over the speed limit? 80, can I go 90? Well, if you do, you can get a ticket for doing 10 over because it's illegal. Speeding is not legal. Can you drive a tank? Where? I knew somebody, I don't think he's still alive. He was an older guy back then, but he had a tank on his property. He had a Sherman tank. And apparently he would create a special load to fire on like firecrackers out of the cannon. Yeah, I remember seeing video of it. Pretty cool. I don't know if I want a tank. I imagine they're not very good on gas. Some people think I drive a tank now. How come there is an unnecessary noise ticket? Because people make unnecessary noise, and it's a problem. So we have a ticket to combat the people who make noise. But how do you guys stop sideshows and takeovers? We charge people, and often criminally. What's this? Best advice to become, when applying to become a police officer: be honest, be complete, stay out of trouble, maintain a good driving record, volunteer, keep your health and fitness up, continue learning in the time that you are waiting to become a police officer. Continue to better yourself, and continuous learning is a big thing. Even if it's like certificate courses, you don't have to get your doctorate, but continue to show that you're capable of learning and you're developing. Take a language course. Languages are a huge benefit. A lot of people take ASL, American Sign Language. Some people take languages like the Romance languages. Like anything is good. Just keep learning. What do we got here? Are radar jammers legal in BC? I don't know about BC. We'll have to get my friends from Alberta and British Columbia to weigh in on what they do out there. I know they're allowed to have radar detectors, but jammers, I don't know. And they're certainly not legal here. What's this? Uber, Lyft drivers accepting trips while driving, are they liable for fines and demerit points? Yeah, you're not allowed to use your phone. So if you're using your phone to accept trips, you're breaking the law. Are tourists to Canada? Can anyone with a USA driver's license drive in Canada? We accept an American driver's license as long as you meet the requirements. For instance, if there's a license issued to someone who's 14 in the States, maybe I don't know if there's a place that does that. We have learner's permits in some places in Canada that are like from 14 years old. Let's say there was a place that said, we're going to give a full license to a 14-year-old. That person would not be eligible to drive here, even if they had a full license in that jurisdiction, because you have to be 16 to drive here. So best thing to do is go to trafficcop.ca, and at the bottom of the page, there is a, whatchamacallit. There is a link that talks about new drivers and visitors to Canada. And every province has their own rules. What was I going to... Oh, nobody mentioned the new sign, Vision Zero sign. I put it up this morning. Just saying. No one said nothing. Somebody asked me if I worked in the private sector before. A dozen questions came in. And I don't know what the other half of the question is. Trying to find it. How far back do we have to go? Holy moly. I'm sure I'm going to find it in any second. Well, let me start off by saying, yes, I have worked in the private sector for most of my life, or at least up until the age of 25. And then I had businesses in between, so I left the service for a period of time. Are you allowed to do a wheelie on a motorcycle? Only if you want a stunt driving charge. That's against the law. Absolutely against the law. I can't find that question, and I really do want to answer it. So it's probably a good time to say that we have to end the show for today. There's a bunch of stuff that did not get addressed. There's just tons of questions, and I'm more than I have time to answer. And I've done the 2.5-hour show before. That was the longest I ever did a live stream. I don't have that ability today because I have people who are waiting for me to do other stuff and things, projects and bosses. And this is not the only thing I do. I feel obligated to mention that now and again because some people say, all you do is TikTok, and that's simply not the case. In fact, lately, I've been doing less, like a lot less, just because I've been so busy. But I do want to do more. So let's go with a dad joke to end the day.
Maybe I'll read it like this.
Nah, I can't stand it. I liked it for the one video, but I'm done. Okay, so what is this? A dad joke. I went to change my password to Fortnite. The website said the passport was too weak. It's too weak, Fortnite? Too weak. It's pretty good. I mean, it's not the best, but it's pretty good. Let's see here. What do I got? Library playlists. Oh, here, public. That's what I'm looking for. I'm pretty sure I put the rock version. Where's the rock version go? I'm looking for. Where did I put it? Come on. Okay, this is embarrassing. Where's the rock version? Did I not make it public? Oh, I think I can go here. Traffic. Here we go. Hang on a second. .ca. Going to my link tree. At the top of the link tree. I think I'm pretty positive. There we go. Here we go. No. Where is it? Did I take it down? I want to play okay, I'm just going to play the regular one. This is the traffic song, the original song that started it all. But we have a rock version that I was going to play today, and I can't. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Yellow light, red light, green safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
Have a great day to everybody else, too. Somebody says you're on mute. I don't think I'm on mute. I think it would be, I'd hear about it. Human Moves Day Camp says, have a great day, Shap. Mike, you have a great day, too. I got a shout out to Human Moves Day Camp. They do amazing stuff at Downsview Military Base. Who would have thunk that there's a sports camp there that has, like, anyway, it's wild. They go-karting there and rock climbing and I don't think they do pole vaulting. What's that other kind of jumping? They do jumping, something. Parkour, that's what they do. Anyway, very cool. Looking to see if there's anything else to say. Here we go. We got stay safe and remember, don't have a good day, have a great day. Yeah. And smile. Looks good on you. All the best.